Don't Depend on Daddy is an unfiltered safe space, empowering young professionals to build independence in their 20s and beyond, whether it be personal, professional, or financial. Regardless of your age, relationship status, or job title, the most consistent person in your life is you. So join me and let's build our independence together. Enjoy! Hello and welcome back to a very special episode of Don't Depend on Daddy, because this is my 30th birthday episode. Woohoo! I'm 30. Crazy, isn't it? The day came, the day passed, here we are. Today, I am going to be sharing rapid fire 30 lessons that I've learned by the time I turn 30. Hopefully, a lot of these aren't super cliche, because I do feel like a lot of lesson videos that I watch are very cliche. I try to be a little bit more, not necessarily interesting, but just more like true to me in a lot of these. So before we get into it, I'm going to very quickly, rapid fire, get through our usual housekeeping. So as always, if you are looking to take your financial power back, you can use the code podcast1 for $10 off the personal finance dashboard. If you are listening to this podcast when it goes up, the personal finance dashboard will be on sale for my birthday. So make sure you head over to my Instagram so that you can get access to that code. If you are looking for a tool that is, a little bit more straightforward compared to the personal finance dashboard, just a tool where you can build out your first budget, start tracking your expenses, I recommend you check out the basic budgeting template. And if you are looking for a tool to help better plan for retirement or career plan and really break out of the corporate rat race and actually either retire early, scale back your career, or just feel more confident in your plans for retirement, I recommend you check out the Financial Independence Planner. What this tool is going to do is answer the question for you, how much? So how much do you need to save for retirement in general? How much do you need to save each year in order to reach that target? How much do you need to save annually to accelerate that target or to reach different milestones? So that has actually been an incredibly helpful tool for me when I'm thinking about my broader career and business planning overall. So those 3 templates are going to be on sale this week only. And if you're listening to this after the week after the 4th of July, so I don't know, mid-July or beyond, the sale's probably over. So you can use the code podcast1 on the PFD. And if you're listening to it when it's live, just head over to my Instagram because the code will be plastered pretty much everywhere there. So with that, let's just get into the episode. I have 30 lessons all listed out here on my computer, and we'll just get right into it. So number 1, you have plenty of time. This is such an important lesson to learn, especially if you're in your early 20s. I think there's just way too much pressure on young adults and particularly people in their early 20s to have everything figured out by the time you turn 25. I don't even feel like my life started until I was 28. So you have plenty of time, and you shouldn't aim to figure everything out by the time you turn 25, because you, I think, honestly change the most in your late 20s, because that's when you really learn more about who you are, what you want, what's important to you, as opposed to internalizing all of the things that are important to everyone else that you then feel is super important. So you have plenty of time to figure it out. You have plenty of time to find a new job. You have plenty of time to get your finances together. You have plenty of time to make friends, meet your person, do all of the things. You do not have to rush your life, and honestly, you shouldn't. Number 2, it is okay to change your mind. I feel like we need to normalize learning new things and having a different opinion. The internet has become way too black and white. It's made us think very black and white, and it's made us feel like there's something wrong with us if we come to a different conclusion. You should be changing your mind all the time. As you learn new things, as you have different experiences, gain different perspectives, meet different people, your opinion should change. And it's totally fine if what you used to think is very different than what you currently think. And same goes for making life decisions. It's okay to make a decision and it be the wrong one and change your mind and go back to what you were doing before. It's fine to change. And to think that you're going to go through your whole life with one opinion or hinged on one decision is absolutely crazy, honestly. Number 3, and if you are listening to this and I take pauses, it's because I am drinking my iced coffee. Number 3, your life is going to look different every single year. I honestly feel like I've lived 10 different lives in my 20s. And it's because every single year my life has just felt and been so different. And that's a good thing. It's exciting to try new things. It's exciting to move to new places, meet new people, have new jobs, and just experience things. And also, kind of piggybacking off of number 2, as your opinions, thoughts, perspectives, desires change, your life will hopefully be changing with it. So don't fear the change, because it's normal for your life to be changing rapidly, especially in this period of time. Number 4, move to a new place. And I stand by this. You have to live somewhere else in your 20s, whether it's you go away for college, or instead of moving home, you move to a different city, or you spend a few years at home and then you move to a different city. At least 1 year of your 20s has to be spent living outside of your hometown, home city where you went to school, because you do not develop as a person in the same way when you are in your comfort zone and surrounded by all the same people you grew up with, all the same things you're familiar with. My world expanded, not when I traveled, when I moved, okay? Because when you move, you realize how many different ways there are to live, how many different life experiences you could choose to have, or life paths you could choose to be on. And you don't know that until you leave. Every single person who has moved away has always said that it's been a really great and positive experience. They've been able to see so many different things. And, I'm not saying you have to do what I did and move from East Coast to West Coast or West Coast to East Coast, but you got to get out of your comfort zone a little. And your 20s is the perfect time to do that. Moving to a new city is not as hard as we build it up to be in our heads. Yes, there are expenses that come along with it. I don't want to discount that, but it's something you can save up for. Lots of people do it. And it just doesn't need to be a whole big thing. Like when I moved to LA, I literally made the decision. I flew with 2 suitcases and I figured it out when I got there. I mean, I got an apartment and whatnot, but I bought all my furniture there. I made all new friends. I found a different way of life. Like, you just figure it out. But it literally can be as simple as packing a bag and booking a plane ticket. And I just don't think we should overcomplicate things to the degree we have, particularly when it comes to moving. You got to do it. So please move to a new place. And if you have a city that you love, leave it in the comments or comment on Spotify, so people who are listening or watching who maybe want to move somewhere new but don't know where can get some ideas. I loved living in California. I would not be mad if my life brought me back there. But I also do love living in Chicago, and I've loved living on the East Coast as well. I grew up on the East Coast, and I grew up in Boston. I went to school in North Carolina. I moved back to Boston for a few years. I moved out to LA. Now I've lived in Chicago. I've lived in so many different places across the US, and I've discovered a different version of me in all of those places. So I highly recommend moving. And honestly, when I think about friendships or people that come into my lives, relationships in general, being able to adapt and move is something that's very important to me, because I feel like if you don't move, you don't learn how to make friends in the same way as an adult. Because you're not forced to if you're always around your friends that you grew up with or the environment that you grew up in. So that's my opinion, and I feel really strongly about it. Number 5, friendships will change, and that's normal. Your friendships are going to change all throughout your life, but they change a lot, very quickly in your 20s, because I think up until you're 22, everyone's on the same page, right? And then you turn 22, you graduate from college, and everyone sort of branches out in their own direction. And that's super normal. You will become friends and get closer to friends at the same life stage as you, and that's totally fine. You can celebrate your friends at different life stages. I also think that's really important. But I do find that people tend to gravitate towards people in similar life stages. That's super normal, and it's also fine. And it's just something that you have to accept and embrace. I think embracing it is really important, because you're not necessarily meant to have the same friends for your entire life forever. If you're finding that you're growing apart from people, just let it happen, you don't have to grasp onto a friendship that's not serving you anymore. And you don't owe anyone anything. You don't owe an explanation. There doesn't need to be a conversation about it. You can just gently move and flow throughout your life and develop different relationships, and let old friendships or old relationships just be what they are. Number 6, let people and things leave your life. Kind of piggybacking off of the last one. don't grasp onto stuff that's not meant to stay. I feel like I harbored a lot of not only resentment, but just like disappointment in people because I had imagined them playing a different role in my life than what they ended up doing. And, I think it's okay to do that, but it's not okay to dwell. And so if I've learned anything, especially with relationships, and this doesn't mean be nonchalant, but like don't force people to stay who don't want to stay. Like let them leave and make space for other people. Number 7, decenter men. Any of the girls listening to this, like decentering men doesn't mean not caring or wanting a relationship. It means centering you. And this is something that I've learned a lot of and consumed a lot of content about on TikTok actually, but especially as women, we don't realize how we are essentially trained to make decisions to benefit men all throughout our lives, whether it be through our appearance, the way we behave, the way we interact, decisions that we make. Like when you completely decenter not even the male gaze, but like the male opinion from what you do and actually start developing your own interest, developing your own sense of style, you become an entirely different person. So I feel very strongly, especially in your like early mid 20s. It doesn't mean you can't be in a relationship. Like that's not what I'm saying, but just don't make men the center of your world or the center of your friendships or relationships. Don't let men ruin your friendships and really focus on cultivating a relationship with yourself and cultivating female friendships. I think they're really, really important. And it's really important to develop a personality that's not centered around having a boyfriend. Number 8, developing hobbies. You need to have multiple hobbies, an in-home hobby and an outside hobby at a minimum. In-home hobbies could be like crocheting, reading, sourdough, cooking, whatever, something that you can do at home by yourself to fill your time, keep your hands busy. An outside hobby is a more social hobby or something that you can do with someone else. It can be free, it can be paid, it doesn't really matter, whatever fits within your budget. Outside hobbies could be walking, hiking, playing tennis, swimming, surfing. I don't know, it just depends on where you live. In LA, I had different hobbies. I did a lot of hiking. I did a lot more like going to the beach. Where in Chicago, I'm doing a lot more walking. I'm playing tennis. I'm going to more Pilates classes. Like I'm doing things that aren't as centered around having nice weather all the time. But you have to have something to do. Hobbies are so important for character development, for building confidence, and for learning about yourself and learning new skills. It makes you an interesting person. And honestly, like you have to have other things to do and other things to talk about besides who you're dating and what you do for work. So hobbies are a really great way to do that. So yeah, I do have some episodes from last year about hobbies. I was really in my hobby era. I'm getting back into my hobby era. And I think it's so important to have 2 hobbies, an in-home hobby and an outside hobby. Number 9, focus on quality over quantity with everything. I think this comes with age because when I was in my early 20s, I cared a lot less about having nice things and a lot more about having more things. Where now, later in my 20s, I'm like, even after I've gotten rid of things, I'm like, I still have too much stuff. Like, I just want to keep purging and purging and purging and ever so slowly replacing things with higher quality, nicer stuff that lasts me a longer period of time. So quality over quantity always. It applies to items. It applies to friendships. It applies to relationships. It applies to literally everything. Focus on getting the highest quality, best thing you could possibly get, as opposed to having a lot. And I think this also, like I said, applies to friendships. This isn't on this list, but like say no to friend groups. I think big friend groups can become really toxic, and there are some instances where they're fine, but like generally I think having a couple of really great friends who all know each other and are friends, I don't want to discount that, will be much more long-term rewarding than being in like a big friend group that all hates each other. So yeah. Number 10, continuously focus on learning and developing more skills. And this doesn't have to be related to school or related to work. It just means like constantly stay curious. After you graduate from college, you sort of lose that like drive to learn. And because you're not forced to learn or forced to take tests or like forced to do that, You can lose your desire to discover new things outside of like your specific line of work. But something that it's important to remember is you have free will. So like you can do whatever the fuck you want, right? Like if you want to go learn a new language, if you want to go take a class, like just because you're interested in it, you can do that. And I think we need to encourage and talk about doing that. Like not all of your development has to be professional development. I think it's great. And that's a great way to make more money. I think you should constantly be up leveling from a professional standpoint too. But don't shy away from learning something just because you want to. And make sure that every year, I would say, you're like thinking about a new thing or a new skill or a new something to keep your brain occupied and stimulated outside of work. That's another example of like a hobby, you know? For me, for example, right now, like tennis. Tennis is a new skill that I'm learning and developing, but it's also a hobby. So they don't have to be different, but you got to have something that you're working towards that's not related to a professional achievement. Number 11, turn off the news when you can. I'm not going to advocate for being misinformed or not informed. Obviously, we need to keep up with current events, but you don't need to listen to the news every day. You don't need to absorb everything that comes from the news. You don't need to internalize everything you hear on the news. You don't need to argue with people who have different opinions than you based off of the different news that you're listening to. Turn it off. Your life will get better when you stop listening to the news. So yeah, I won't elaborate on that. Number 12, put your phone away, especially when you talk to people, especially when you're walking around outside. Like whatever's on your phone is probably not as important as looking ahead or looking the person you're talking to in the eye. There's nothing more annoying than going out to dinner with someone or meeting up with someone and they're just staring at their phone. I think that it's one of the rudest things you can possibly do to friends, but also to strangers. Put your phone in your bag, in your pocket, take your earplugs out and look up and talk to people, emote, engage, and have conversations, especially when you're hanging out with somebody one-on-one. Like, you do not need to be on your phone. Tell me what's on your phone that's more important than talking to the person that you're actually with. Number 13, discipline is a form of self-respect. Learning how to be disciplined, learning how to keep promises to yourself, learning how to hold yourself accountable. Holding yourself accountable, so important, a very important skill to learn. It literally is showing the world that you respect yourself and proving to you that you respect yourself. So like seeking external accountability as the only way to actually get something done, I think is self-sabotage. You have to learn how to be more disciplined. You have to learn how to do the things that you say you're going to do and keep those promises, because it shows other people that you respect yourself, that you respect relationships with other people, you respect their time, all those kinds of things. But it also helps you build internal confidence. Number 14, track your expenses. I don't feel like I need to elaborate on this, but the TLDR is if you are not tracking your expenses, you are spending more money than you think because your brain is hardwired to protect you. And you'll lie to yourself about how much money you're actually spending. So track your expenses, and obviously you can do that with the PFD or the basic budgeting template. Number 15, productivity is energy-based, not time-based. So change how you think about getting things done. This is a lesson I feel like I've learned over the last, honestly, couple of months, but you don't have to be productive for 8 hours a day. You could probably get most of what you need to get done in 4 to 6 hours a day. And if that means for 2 hours, you have to make yourself look busy if you're at work, that's totally fine. But don't think that giving yourself a full stretch or day to get something done is going to be the key to success. Like if you're feeling a very productive mood or energy, lean into that and really ride it out because it won't last forever. And just think about how you manage your time a little bit differently. I have a podcast episode all about time management. Honestly, ever since I made that, even a couple months ago, I feel like the way I manage my time has changed, but there's some good stuff in there for just better scheduling out your week, prioritizing your to-do list, all that kind of stuff. Number 16, less is always more in every way, in makeup, in clothes, in stuff, in decor. Less is more. Same with friendships. I feel like this is a very cross life pillar lesson. Less is more. Number 17, invest in your appearance. We are a very visual society. Humans are visual creatures. And the people who look the best aren't necessarily, the most societally or culturally beautiful people, or like this I don't, what's the word, you know what I'm looking for, fit the specific standard of beauty of the United States, because that's where I'm currently based. The people who are the most beautiful are the ones who do the most with what they've got. You know, they've taken the extra 10 minutes to just make themselves look a little bit more put together. They put an outfit on, they brush their hair, they enhance their natural features. Like, those are the people who, in my opinion, always look the best. So don't discount the value of investing in your appearance, because it can open doors and help you build relationships that you otherwise wouldn't be able to build. It's very, very important. I know people don't want to hear that. I know it sounds shallow, but it is unfortunately true. And the sooner you learn it and the sooner you take it seriously, honestly, the easier your life is going to get. Number 18, read. You know how I feel about reading. Reading is so important. If you are not reading, you are missing out on life. Get a Kindle, get a library card, get Spotify Premium and start listening to books, but read something. And if you struggle with reading or you hate reading, it's probably because you're reading nonfiction. Pick up a fiction book. There are so many, all different kinds. I know people are anti-fantasy, but I'm pro-fantasy. I think it's awesome. And it's really fun. And it's like you get to experience this entirely different world. I think reading is so much better than TV. Number 19, learn how to say no. There is an art to saying no. No is a full sentence, and when you respect your boundaries and your desires, other people will respect them too. You cannot expect somebody to respect your boundaries or opinions if you don't respect them. So learn how to say no. Learn how to be okay with saying no. Learn how to be comfortable with letting people down or letting somebody be disappointed. It's literally totally fine. Number 20. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them the first time. I think this especially applies with like dating, but also friendships, but specifically dating. You can't change someone. You can't change how somebody feels about you. You can't change any of that. If somebody disrespects you, if somebody shows you who they truly are, don't think that you are going to make any difference. People don't change because you want them to. They change when they want to. They have to have their own catalyst. So if somebody shows their true colors, you have to be okay to walk away. Number 21, create financial security for yourself. Particularly, I'm speaking to the women, which I think is most of you listening to this. A man is not a financial plan. And if you enter a marriage, you should always have your own money to walk away no matter what. Financial security is literally your leverage. I feel like in life, in the dating market, everywhere. When you have money, you have options. You have choices. Life gets easier. People who say money doesn't buy happiness are lying to you, because it does. And it does because it buys you opportunity, it buys you decisions, and it buys you freedom. So create that financial security for yourself. Don't rely on other people to do it for you. And as a woman, it's your responsibility in a marriage, in a relationship, to know what's going on. You may not be the one who's managing everything. That's totally fine, but you have to know where stuff is and what's going on so that you can be an active participant in the decision making. Again, it's another one I feel so strongly about. Number 22, get comfortable being and sitting alone. There's nothing embarrassing about being by yourself. There's nothing embarrassing about going out into public by yourself. Doing things alone is how you build confidence in yourself. I think we need to normalize doing things alone. I'm really loving this trend of getting comfortable doing things alone and being alone. Obviously, we want to foster community, and relationships and connection is so important, but having a good relationship with yourself and being able to be by yourself is a really important life skill, because even if you, again, are in a relationship, are married, whatever, you don't know what your life circumstance could look like later down the line. You don't know if there will be periods of time where you are by yourself. Learning how to do this early in your life will make those periods in your future life much easier. Number 23, when it comes to clothes, fit is more important than price and quality. If something doesn't fit you, you will not wear it. So make sure you're focused on fit first. Obviously, we want to be buying quality items. We want to be investing in material composition and things we'll get a lot of wear out of. But just because something's expensive doesn't mean it's going to fit you. It doesn't mean it's nicer. So focus on fit. Get your clothes tailored. Buy things that actually flatter your body type. Learn your body type. There are so many ways to do this. You can use TikTok. You can use ChatGPT. You can go get measured. Like, learn how to dress for your body. Very important. Number 24. Learn how to set reasonable expectations of people. I think, we have to, not that you can't have high expectations, but you have to learn how to be reasonable. My dad always has told me, he's literally ingrained this into my brain, you can't expect other people to think the way that you think. So you can't expect other people to act the way you would act or the way you would want them to act. So just be reasonable in what you expect from other people. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have standards, but don't hold everyone to the highest level of expectations, because more often than not, you're going to end up just being disappointed. Number 25, you will expand to fill the space that you are in. You do not need more and more space. A bigger apartment, a bigger house, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, all that does is, make you feel like you need more stuff. I think having a small space is great. Having just the right amount of space for what you need at whatever phase of life you're in should be the goal. I think we've glorified huge clunky houses and huge apartments and whatnot. Like, most of us don't really need that, and what we end up doing is just accumulating more and more stuff. Number 26, don't succumb to lifestyle creep, and make sure you evaluate everything in the context of your budget. This is so important and a very important habit to be in early on in your 20s and just carry it with you. You should not be making lifestyle decisions without looking at the true impact on your financials, on your goals, and on your broader planning, because lifestyle decisions are what will eat away at increases in your earnings over time. And if you are earning more, but you're also spending significantly more, then all you're doing is prolonging your ability to stop working, which is ultimately what we all want to be doing. Number 27. Filter out unsolicited advice and don't take it personally because people project. I think this is really important, especially in like your personal relationships with people that you know, not necessarily with like people on the internet, because obviously people on the internet don't know anything about you. But people in your life will naturally just give you advice you didn't ask for. I think this is generally coming from a good place. It's something that as I've learned this, I've become much more aware of it. You don't have to take advice from everyone. You don't have to take everybody's feedback. You don't even have to listen to it. You need to develop a filter for what makes sense for you, what doesn't, and who you actually value that feedback from. Number 28, being busy is not a badge of honor. I actually think the opposite is, because being busy means you don't respect your time or you are running from something. So don't seek filling every single second of your day with more and more. Figure out what you enjoy doing, what adds value to your life, and learn how to create space in your day to think, to be slow, and to rest and relax, because like the hustle is not something that we have to do forever. I feel like maybe too, this is something I'm discovering a little bit later on in my 20s, is like everybody's so busy doing tons of shit they don't want to do. Why? Why have we normalized that? Like, learn how to build a life that you actually enjoy and create a social calendar with things you actually want to go to. Like, it's so crazy to me how many people fill their lives with chores and errands and events and stuff that they don't even want to participate in. Number 29, don't be scared of getting older. It's a privilege to age, okay? And I don't think we should fear aging at all. I think it should be something that we embrace and something that we celebrate. And I feel like especially for women, like we really make it hard to get older. What other options do we have? Aging is just a natural part of life. And number 30, I think this is the most important. You do not have to follow the traditional path that was laid out for you. You have so many options. If something doesn't feel right, if you don't want to be in a specific job, if you don't want to get married, if you don't want to have kids, if you want to do your own thing, if you want to travel, if you want to take time off, whatever, you can do what you want. You have free will. Like, you own your life. Obviously, having, financial security and creating that financial security for yourself is integral in being able to do that, but we are not confined to the path that was set for us 100 years ago. You don't have to go work a 9 to 5, get married, have kids, have a white picket fence by the time you turn 30 or by the time you turn 35. You can do quite literally whatever the fuck you want. So I will leave you with that. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll catch you next week. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to leave me a review. Make sure to follow me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next week.